A red sword energy danced in his hand and he wanted to take action. Jiang Yanru on the side quickly threw the bucket away and picked up Michael. You Tian. That's how it is in the village. Everyone is just joking. Don't take it seriously. If you kill them, I will house you and I live here. And Michael's sword energy wrapped around Jiang Yanru's neck. It's better not true. Jiang Yanru opened the courtyard door. It's very shabby inside. Some cabbages planted in the mud yard. Next to it are some clothes hanging to dry. A young man of 17 or 18 years old is arranging clothes under the clothes drying rack. He turned his head when he heard the door open. Back so soon. Whose child is this? So cute. How you came over and took Michael from Jiang Yanru's hand. He reached out and pinched Michael's cheek. I just feel a little pain in my hand. This kid is too hard. Child. And Michael looked at the young man's face. He is somewhat similar to his elder brother, but the breath in my body is empty. It's obvious that he has never practiced. It seems that Jiang Yanru wants this child to live an ordinary life. Thinking about my current physical condition, no blood at all. Even if I find a Taoist partner in the future, I'm afraid I won't be able to have children. His eyes couldn't help but soften when he looked at the child. This is the last single seedling of Zenbi Palace. You don't remember me? Michael spoke softly. In fact, there is not much age difference between the two of them. It can be said that we grew up together in the house. It's just that he has a precocious personality. I can't afford to play with these little brats. Little friend, have we met? Jiang Yanru saw her son treating Michael as an ordinary child. He quickly snatched the latter and put it on the ground. The whole lineage of Tyler Zenbi kings are all bad-tempered. She hasn't seen Michael for many years. I don't know what kind of virtue this little ancestor is now. Jiang Yanru stood some rabbit meat for dinner. This is what you found in the mountains. But Michael only took one look and entered the house. He doesn't need to eat. No digestive function. After standing in the room and pondering for a long time, he stood by the window and waved. A little sparrow flew and sat on the windowsill. Take it out. The previous road is dead. The little sparrow was stunned for a moment. He spread his wings and lowered his head to pick something out from the feathers on his chest. Soon 5 books fell out of the feathers on its chest. Michael picked up the books and placed them on the floor. The first book is called The Way of Killing. This is the origin of all his sword skills. Sword Ki also evolves based on this. Hook is on form and meaning. But now this road has come to an end. It's not that there isn't a more powerful sword realm, but his soul is restricted. Everything now is the end of what a mortal can deduce. The second book is Book of Heaven. The cultivation techniques throughout the continent are basically based on this book. I felt the cultivation level in my body that fell to the level of ki refining. Michael's face flashed with anger. A third level of his previous ki training period was fake. It's just a delusion brought about by spiritual energy. Once the spiritual energy is depleted, the level will fall. Waste exercises. He kicked the Book of Heaven away with one kick. I can barely control the sword energy escaping from my body. Take a deep breath and look at the last 3 skills. But they are devil, a return into Buddha's heart. The 3 exercises respectively correspond to demonic cultivation. Ghost cultivator. Disgusted, he stuffed Buddha's heart back into the little sparrow's arms. His eyes wandered away from the other 2 exercises. Cultivation of demons or cultivation of ghosts. This is a problem. Gazing in the direction of Kitahara, he seems to have no choice. I'll tell him, I might not be able to handle it this time. He doesn't have to pay back what he owes me. The little sparrow spreads its wings and flies up, turning to a black spot in the sky until it disappears. The method of ghost cultivation. There is no doubt that the mother must die before she is born. A soul of a monk contains vitality, and the ghost body hides ghost energy. But the soul can be wiped out. The fading of vitality may not lead to ghost energy. It is also possible to be indifferent and have nothing between heaven and earth. Most deadly ghosts are confused, hard to find the true self. It is also easy to be worn away by time. True spirit collapses. Michael's eyes twinkled as he watched the way home. The road ahead is cut off. New roads are hard to find. He really admires those monks who have spiritual roots, even the most useless miscellaneous spiritual roots. Among them, the one he admired the most was Anthony. That guy is so beautiful that people are crazy about him. Any spells can be posted at your fingertips. Proficient in wind, fire, thunder and lightning. He sat on the ground with his back to the window and his hair cut, holding homecoming in hand. Like a wild dog fighting for survival like a wolf and fox. Maybe the hungry den can help you survive. A night of silence. Michael sat like this until dawn. Maybe Jiang Yanru had an explanation for Yaozhu. Neither of them came in to disturb him. Facing the first ray of morning light, he walked out of the room. Yaozhu stood cautiously in the yard, seeing the childish face of the other party. A slightly determined look between the eyebrows. Michael smiled, smiling with relief. Our NVI Prince's mansion is no longer unique. What am I afraid of? Simply unfounded worries. He laughed and walked out. He left the Book of Heaven in the room. Either ye how you can embark on the journey of cultivation is entirely up to his own choice. After walking far away, ye how you rushed out of the yard. He shouted towards the lonely and thin figure. Third uncle. Michael turned around. The smile becomes more wild. Second uncle. There you go. What silly things did the silly boy say? I am the king of Zenbi. Of course. I am going back to the fiefdom of King Zenbi. Then will you come back? Michael stopped smiling. The tone becomes sullen. I won't come back. Just remember, the tradition of King Zenbi. All areas not included in the territory of Dakin belong to the fiefdom of Zenbi King. If you want to find me, go to Zenbi King's fiefdom and find me. After saying that, he turned around and left without looking back. Zhang Yanru walked out of the yard and looked at the retreating figure. This figure gradually overlapped with the silhouette of her husband's departure. It's just that Yaya Nexon was followed by millions of soldiers. And now Michael is alone. Yankan Hall in the imperial city of Qin. Eva wears a gorgeous dragon robe and sits on the dragon chair. Endless dragon energy surrounds her, showing her majestic appearance. Your Majesty, His Royal Highness the King of Zenbi was assassinated at the junction of Kanjiju and Huangzhou. Eva frowned. She doesn't care who the prince is. The entire lower realm is small. This is just a springboard for her to return to the fairy world. She doesn't care whether Michael lives or lies. When she was at her peak, she could create millions of creatures with just a raise of her hand. How could you care about this biological son? Since King Zenbi is dead, then let's establish another prince. You can discuss it among yourselves and report it to me. Everyone in the palace looks pretty. This emperor really doesn't care about anything. Eva returns to her palace. Her ever-changing long sword pinned a golden dragon shadow to the ground, and forward slowly. Her eyes were filled with expectation. Soon, not too long, she can soar with the help of dragon energy. If the lower realm monks practice normally, they need to become a great emperor to break through the barrier of the fairy realm. But as an emperor, you don't need to. Our dragon key is a kind of heavenly luck, bringing the luck of this world to communicate with the fairy world. You can naturally enter the fairy world easily. That's when she had hope in her heart. The many gems rotating around the long sword were stuck for a moment. What's going on? She frowned deeply and looked at the rotating gems. After a while, her expression changed drastically. Damn it, there's 7 missing. These 7 gems are just a drop in the bucket of the many gems on the sword. But it is an indispensable key link for the operation of the formation. After confirming again and again that 7 pills were missing, she flew towards the immortal forest. If anyone can steal the gem from her hand, then it must be Wang Daoyang. Kanjiju border. High flying boat sails through the clouds. Fly lure. Michael the Bastard. Jing ran to air to take Olivia down the mountain. Olivia has only a few levels of key refining. If my precious disciple loses a single hair, I will skin him. This really pisses me off. Alexander looked livid. Bo Xian stood aside and let her breathe. Extinguish the fire. Otherwise, I'm afraid that if you return to Jianfeng, you will lose your temper. Alexander frowned and looked at Huo Xian. She came to Kanjiju directly from Huifeng Holy Land, didn't return to Jianfeng. From what Huo Xian said, it seems like something happened to Jianfeng. Fragrant, are you hiding something from me? Huo Xian turned and looked aside. The corners of the mouth keep trembling. It can be seen that she feels uncomfortable laughing. Qingshi, what are you talking about? We have been friends for hundreds of years. What can I hide from you? Emily on the side also had some doubts in her eyes. Huo Xian's turned face was facing her. There's obviously something wrong with the other party's distorted face. Uncle, it's okay. It's okay. Huo Xian's body trembled while talking, laughing out of the hen's crow. Master Alexander and his disciples' faces turned dark. These emotions are no longer suppressed. This guy must know something. The 2 of them grabbed Huo Xian at the same time and interrogated him. After some fighting, Huo Xian could only confess part of it. Scratching. Stop scratching, I said. Master gave your second apprentice a weapon refining manual. As a result, he was trying to make clay pots. Instruct your Olivia baby to collapse Jianfeng. You don't know. Other King Shan was so angry that his face turned blue. After the scandal, the 2 even ran away. Senior brother personally led people to Jianfeng to arrest people, but he just missed it. Huo Xian said while imitating Jacob's angry face. He also performed a piece of incompetent rage. Acted perfectly. Alexander was also listening to the music. Thinking of Jacob's face at that time, she also held Huo Xian and laughed so hard that she couldn't stand up straight. Right, that's all. That's how senior brother King Shan's mouth twitched at that time. Emily frowned slightly as she looked at the 2 people who were laughing so hard. She always felt that Huo Xian was hiding something. She knows about this uncle's urinary properties. I wish the world would be in chaos. She's fun to watch. Olivia crossed her arms and stared at the sky. King Biaihua and her sword attendants sat on the stone with wretched faces. They originally wanted to go back to King Shan after losing Michael and others. But in the end it was discovered that Fiaiju was missing. That's a flying boat built with blue and white flowers and lots of money. The railings above are all sprayed with perfume. No one can understand her heartache at this time. She felt that the moment the flying boat was lost, her soul was also lost. Just then Olivia said she had a way. So several people were brought to the top of the hill by Olivia. Olivia's lips curled up, with a confident smile on his face. That's when King Biaihua and the others were confused. A flying boat floats in the sky. This flying boat moves very slowly, flying very low too. But the direction is not the direction back to King Shan. It's not the direction of Shiwanda Shan that Olivia wants to go to. Instead, they came from Shiwanda Shan to Kenjishu. But that's not important. She believed that, after stopping Fiaiju, he would be happy to change his destination. Changfang Fiaiju. Stop. Was allowed here. Olivia roared. He glanced at King Biai, who was standing stupidly next to him. Seeing the green and white flowers, Olivia showed no response and was furious. Senior sister, what are you still doing? Go up and control the opponent's main force first. How about you send me up with a flying sword? King Biai, who was dumbfounded. A method that works with you is to rob the town. What kind of confidence did your senior brother give you? In the later stage of key refining, he dared to block the road and rob him. Don't be afraid, senior sister. Senior brother left me a sword, enough to make the wind from Kenjishu blow to the Green Mountains. Olivia looks confident. King Biaihua looked sad. She, the majestic goddess, turned into a robber. I saw the flying boat in the sky stopped. Biaihua's complexion became solemn. Of course she can't let Olivia take risks. As a senior sister, she also has the responsibilities of a senior sister. If you don't stop, you've already stopped. Now that there was no way to escape, she gritted her teeth, took up her sword and flew towards the flying boat. The four swordsmen behind him followed closely, looking murderous. Only Ifiajian was equal to Fiaiju, and a few people were stunned. King Biaihua turned his head and looked down at Olivia with an ugly face. Junior sister. Senior sister can save you this time. May goddess bless you. Fiaiju Alexander looked at King Biaihua and the others with a dark face. She naturally knows about the apprentice of Sword Fairy Andrew. Xian stood aside and covered her mouth. Face turned red. King Shi, you were robbed. It seems that the person taking the lead is your precious apprentice. Look at her eager look. Dare to rob a flying boat even though you can't with a sword. If I could fly someday, I'm afraid I'm going to rob the fairy world. Ouch, my waist. She really couldn't bear it anymore. Laughing and patting Emily on the shoulder. The latter almost fell down after being photographed by her. King Biaihua saw that Alexander's face looked strange. He quickly stepped onto the flying boat and gave a big gift. A junior nephew Baihu met his uncle. I wish my uncle good luck like the East Sea. Shubai King Shan. Beauty lasts year after year. Balance of Yu Lingshi. Smiling every day. A drop of cold sweat from the blue and white flowers fell on the flying boat. She knows this uncle. Someone who can pick up a sword and go toe-to-toe with the leader. Even her master Andrew was afraid of 3 Zen. Alexander flicked his sleeves. Olivia was swept up from the top of the mountain. She spun around twice on the deck in a daze. In the end, his feet stumbled and he fell in front of Alexander. Ouch. Where is my sword? She got up and went to pick up the green bamboo sword. And I happened to see Alexander. Suddenly, I was shocked. The first thing she thought of was that the master must have come to settle accounts with her. Master, how did you come? Alexander looked at his precious apprentice in front of him. I saw Olivia's hair was messy at this time. There is still dirt on the face. Her clothes are full of holes. There is still cigarette ash in many places. Calling out of the coal hole. You must know that when you first sent Olivia up the mountain, her clothes were white, white and fat, like a little princess. Ouch. How can I explain this to your uncle? The anger that was once full of anger dissipated in an instant. She fixed Olivia's hair with a distressed look on her face. I knew it wouldn't be a good idea to go out with that disciple, Michael. It has only been a few days since I became a little beggar. A finger pinch. A breeze blows. Emily stepped forward and combed Olivia's hair carefully. Asked with a frown, "There is your senior brother." The senior brother. And walking the dog. In the eye who pulled Olivia's sleeves. Now Alexander, what happened in Kenjishu? Alexander's master and apprentice and Xian's expressions darkened at the same time. The stars. A bunch of transformed souls are chasing after them. Such a lineup. Even entering the tower is extremely dangerous. That's more. Michael is just a mortal with no sword skills. Alexander immediately turned the boat around and chased Michael in the direction where he escaped. And everyone present knew that it was probably too late. Several days have passed since the battle in Kenjishu. I don't know how far I've gone by reaching for the stars while flying with all my strength. This time, Utian is afraid that he will be doomed. Alexander looks sad. Everyone feels a little heavy. The consciousness is constantly exploring the bottom. Mountains and rivers collapsed along the way. Numerous cracks opened in the ground. From these we can see how brutal the war was at that time. Lucian said angrily, "If that boy is gone, let's kill those statues to avenge him. I still don't believe that Duckin dares to start a war with me. I'm the Osha in. That shit? Mr. Lang. Those who guard the border all day long and show off their power. I have long disliked him. Naturally, Michael didn't know about Alexander and others' concerns. He has already arrived at Shinji Uami. It looks like nothing has changed here from before. He chose a good coffin from the mountain road. Inside is a blackened dead body. Brother, please change your place. I'm attracted to this coffin. And place the dead body inside with a straw mat." He carried the coffin and walked towards the forbidden area. The sky in the forbidden area is extremely gloomy. Fallen leaves piled up layer upon layer on the ground. There is a rotten smell in the air. And from time to time, you can step on blackened bones. The breeze blew through the treetops, making a chirping sound. Seems a pity array. I walked inside for more than half an hour. Michael stopped, out far ahead. A skinny old man was lying on the ground, chewing something. He turned his head when he heard the noise. The distorted face looks very earned. His hands are stuffing dirt into his mouth. "Hungry. I'm starving. You have anything to eat?" he asked, while grabbing the rotten leaves. He put them into his mouth. Michael frowned. My eyes stayed on the old man's bulging belly. Ignore the old man. Michael carried the coffin and continued walking deeper. Just as I walked not far away, there was a sudden loud bang behind me. Countless dark and dirty things are scattered everywhere like a goddess's shower. The god-transforming monk's stomach exploded because he ate too much. His body was broken into. The upper body is still crawling hard to catch the rotten leaves. It is indeed a restricted area for human beings. Michael saw the shattered flesh and blood. At this time, Jingran also fell, little hungry. This hunger seems to come from the soul's desire for food, even though his body has long been alienated. Now I can feel abdominal pain caused by hunger. Forcefully suppress this feeling. It goes deeper again. The yin energy here is to weep. If you die here, you will just disappear. Walked a few more miles. Gradually some ghosts appeared around. These ghosts have greed in their eyes, drooling and following him all the time. "Hungry, brother, can I eat you?" Michael gritted his teeth. He kept straightening his head and walked forward. He suddenly stopped after hearing the reasonable demands of these ghosts. The head that was being managed was also slowly raised. I'm hungry too." There's greed in his voice. The saliva from the corner of his mouth turned into silvery white threads and fell to the ground. The hungry ghosts around were so frightened that they took a few steps back. Michael looked at them as if he were looking at food. His fellow Taoist, "Be careful. Don't be driven by desire." An angry shout sounded in Michael's heart. His restless desires were temporarily suppressed. At the end of the line of sight, there is a huge ancient clock that is upside down. I winced slightly. He really didn't expect to encounter living monks deep in this forbidden area. But listening to the other party's voice has already reached the point where the fuel is exhausted. It's all thanks to that huge bell that I can survive. Pull the coffin next to the giant bell. Michael has a smile on his face. I am not alone in my ways. I don't know how to call my friend. The monk in the giant bell did not respond. It seems that the reminder to Michael just now has been exhausted. And Michael doesn't care either. Sit aside and speak slowly. "My name is Michael, the best swordsman in the world. But God's jealousy has no spiritual roots. In the end, all kinds of dharma will not enter the immortal gate. Today, the gods abandon the immortals and cultivate their souls, entering the ghost realm. After half a ring of the giant bell, there was finally a sound. I am Xiao Jin Chao, Taoist celestial master, good at catching ghosts and eliminating demons. And, fellow Taoist, have you thought clearly?" And Michael glanced at the big clock. "Did I? Taoist celestial master. This is the ghost nemesis. This sect is hidden in the world. There is no dedicated holy place for spiritual practice, and scattered throughout the world. Its strength is difficult to predict. There's something like that. It's easy to destroy King Shan. It is difficult to destroy the Taoist door. No one knows how many disciples there are in Taoism. They do their own thing without interfering with each other. It is an extremely powerful inheritance force. A slightly threatening question about the Heavenly Master. Michael can only prove it to him with actions. Think it through." He stood up. "Take out a shovel and start digging. There is black soil underneath the rotten leaves. This soil is tinged with scarlet red, as if soaked in blood. Very good. This is the place he's looking for. What a pity. You can't seem to get out. Otherwise, someone will fill in the soil for me. Do you know how determined I am to get to this point? I really failed my beautiful Lady Mia. I don't know how well she's doing though. I'll tell you, that Mia looks so pretty. Undoubtedly, she definitely likes me. It's a pity that I'm just an ordinary person. How dare you miss the beauty? Michael worked while digging. He spent half an hour digging the hole, which was not to be good or small. The curse of forbidden limbs is slowly withering. He must know that this is a body built with sword energy. If real flesh and blood were here, I'm afraid it wouldn't be able to hold on for even a moment. So hungry. This damn place. His hunger from the soul is too terrifying. Enough to drive countless determined people crazy. Michael licked his split lips, put the coffin into the pit. He also lay down in it. So, Master Tionshi, see you tomorrow. Torquay Surgers. The excavated soil rolled and formed a grave in front of the giant bell. In the giant bell, the heavenly master is sitting cross-legged. There is a yellow talisman stuck between his eyebrows. This talisman extends from the center of the eyebrow to the neck. The body below the head is now only a layer of skin covering the bones. It looks extremely miserable and terrifying. I'm afraid I won't be able to get out. This damn hungry hatched in. His eyes are complicated. You can see the tomb next door through the bronze bell. This is the first time that Mr. Bao has seen someone rushing to seek death. After Michael dug himself into the ground, the evil spirits surrounding him also chased away. They only have the instinct to eat and wander in this forbidden area, feeling confused all day and not knowing where to go. It's completely quiet here. There is only the sound of wind and the occasional sound of chewing. A little creepy during this period. A gray sparrow hovered outside the forbidden area for several days. In the end, I still didn't dare to come in and could only fly away. All people and things maintained their original trajectory and rotate. There is no shortage of ongoing stories on the mainland. For example, Deva broke into the immortal forest to ask for gems, but was thrown out. For example, the fourth prince of Qin led his troops to break out of Xinyu Pass, killed millions of northern native souls and was severely injured but had no choice but to retreat. For example, the monk saw a strange mountain breeze in the Anju. Wherever the wind passed, the clouds dispersed, trees bowed. Perhaps this wind is actually a bamboo leaf. Another example is the spiky bamboo shoots growing out of the clay pot at Jianfeng. The mountains and plains are like sharp swords piercing the sky. There is often a little girl waiting for senior brother on the big rock at the mountain pass. The road to spiritual practice is long. Time passes slowly. Bodies. Leap is bastard to death. Or is it senior brother's own fang? That's the point of bullying a woman. Or in a gorgeous white dress in Tianshu Square. The two of them have already lost their childishness. A little more majestic. Junior, sister, if you can't defeat me, you won't let your followers attack me in life. Anthony looked helpless. This time, the Peak Master selected Wanda Osha Ida Wanda Osha and no one was his opponent. But he really had no choice when it came to King Piaiwa, a magic stick. The other party does not respect martial ethics. If you are not strong enough, first encourage the so-called goddess cult to rape him online. He really didn't expect to encounter such outrageous things after traveling through time. Brother Wuji, it's not my fault. Women are born into a disadvantaged group. You're a big man. Can't you let us do that? Go ahead. It seems to make sense. But what's the point? You are a grown man with no manners at all. I heard that you and your junior sisters have to share the expenses evenly when you go out on missions. Simply about his head. Anthony has black lines on his head. He has no ability. He has mastered countless spells, but they are completely useless at this moment. Around the square, people from all sects who came to watch were all laughing. Anthony usually steals the show in Kingshan, known as the #1 young person in Kingshan. I didn't expect that there would be time to eat. Mia's sitting in the audience and her eyes are cooled. None of the monks around her dared to get too close to her, just because you can smell the strong smell of blood on her body from a distance. It's as if the red clothes were stained with blood. Let's go. Go Jianfeng for a walk. See Mia leaving. Billy hurriedly got up and followed her. The edge of the sword is still green. Green bamboo shaker. It's just that there's a different person on the big rock at the mountain pass. Sister Mia, you are here. Olivia stood up happily when she saw the visitor. She has a slim figure. There is glowing light and sword energy flowing on Kinyi. He clay-pot hangs on the waist. Already a tall and graceful figure. Hasn't he come back yet? Of course Olivia knows who Mia is talking about. Not yet, but I feel the joy and trembling of sword energy. She happily called out a ray of breeze from the clay pot. The breeze flows around Olivia's fingers. Just when Olivia was about to take King Feng back into the clay pot, this ray of breeze suddenly dispersed. The sudden bell rang deep in the hungry hatchery cave. Countless evil spirits are wailing and roaring. Followed was the helpless sigh of the Taoist celestial master. Hello, Taoist. I said you can't move your mouth with this bell. You can choose to eat your own coffin board. Black fog billows outside the giant clock. A ferocious ghost with bloody fangs is biting the giant bronze bell. He looks crazy. There are 9 lacquer sword-shaped marks on the forehead. These marks are arranged in a circle. Looks extremely weird. We turned a deaf ear to Celestial Masters on any eyes advice. Still fighting with the bronze bell. Try. I haven't had peace since this guy came here. The Heavenly Master cursed. He was really annoyed. Until out. My life depends entirely on this bell. This bitch has to come and ring the bell on time every day, preventing him from concentrating against the ancestral curse of Hungry Shun's cave. Oh, the Heavenly Master counted down 5 times. As expected, there was no sound outside. He's already used to this guy's routine. Ring the bell every day when you wake up, more punctual than the sun, and I look for something to eat. After giving up the giant bell, we returned to Maybow and opened the coffin board. It's a little empty inside. Only the broken clay pot and 3 gems in the corner looked lonely, and he picked one up and stuffed it into his mouth. A hard gem was bitten into pieces and swallowed, like eating jelly beans. After closing the coffin board, he walked towards the depths. It's hunting time. Tearing apart and devouring the other ghosts wandering here can relieve his hunger. If you want food, you can only go deeper. Pickle, May's the big bad guy. The Heavenly Master couldn't help but sigh. The talisman affixed to his forehead is faded. It seems time is running out. If he died, he would probably not be able to escape the fate of being eaten alive. What a sin, infinite Heavenly Lord. The old Taoist has really been unlucky for 8 lifetimes. Half a day later, the vicious ghost came back again. After eating and drinking, he rang the bell and lay down in the coffin. The Heavenly Master, who had just settled down, was awakened again. This can't happen anymore. He has to regain consciousness. Otherwise I will be consumed to death sooner or later. This is the solution that the Heavenly Master came up with after pondering for a long time. But he was also hesitating in his heart. The other party's current condition is unknown. There's no guarantee that even if you regain consciousness, your temperament will change drastically, and you will be the unlucky one. Crazy thief. As to Tao, I'll take you there. He forced himself to cheer up. Start chanting Taoist scriptures. After reading it several times, he felt that it was not very safe. Changed to reciting Buddhist scriptures. While Buddhism emphasizes compassion, maybe it can arouse good thoughts. A successful Heavenly Master. Naturally, I know a little bit about everything. After reciting the Buddhist scriptures several times, he changed the temple teachings. Although he has never practiced these things, but reciting it is still no problem. It's always foggy in the Hungry Hatchery Cave. No concept of time. The bell rings and it's a day. And she felt that his mouth was blistered. I don't have much left in my stomach either. It seems that there is still a book of goddesses left. Heaven and earth are divided into yin and yang. Women are yin. Yin can produce yang, because only women can give birth to children. The first woman in the world is the goddess of heaven. A man was born upside down and his brain was damaged. A goddess called him a man with a lower head. The more Heavenly Master recited, the softer his voice became, until the defense was finally broken. What the hell? What a bullshit guide. It's simply outrageous. If only I could escape from this miserable place. I'll definitely catch this bunch of goddess teachers. Let them argue with those compassionate monks. Bells ring. Michael's evil spirit wakes him up on time. After ringing the bell, he returned to the grave, swallowed the last gem. He also swallowed the broken clay pot in one gulp. So far, the entire coffin is empty. His eyes were scarlet as he walked deeper into the forbidden area. No more evil spirits along the road. For countless years, no existence has been able to reach the core of the cave. But ghosts too. The closer they get to the core, the more intense their hunger will be. Eventually began to devour itself, until it dissipates and turns into a wisp of yin here. Michael is very fierce after turning into an evil spirit, but it's only more sinister than those hazy ghosts. Still as small as gravel in the Hungry Cave. I don't know how far I've walked. He started chewing his fingers. Nothing can resist this hunger, but not that. He ate enough before. The hungry. So hungry. The throat is crawling. The stomach is burning. The backup plan he had left seems to have failed. I can only let myself wander. Outside the Hungry Cave, Aviva, dressed in a red gold dragon robe, walked slowly. A scepter in her hand dims. The operation of 7-colored gemstones is becoming more and more laggy. Fortune teller, are you sure what I'm looking for is in there? Behind her was an old man holding a broken bowl. The old man is hiding from others. There is half a roast chicken in his mouth. I will never make a mistake in my calculation. But this hungry den is a desperate place. Even if the saint comes, he will not dare to enter. Her Majesty is determined to risk his life. There is a hint of sarcasm on Ava's face. Her vision is beyond the reach of ordinary people. Even in the fairy world, she can go anywhere. She didn't pay any attention to this dark place in this small little world. Took my stuff, unless he can escape into nothingness. Otherwise, there is no use hiding anywhere. I wish your Majesty a smooth trip. Little old man, I'm afraid of being hungry. I won't get involved anymore. The fortune teller stopped. Don't plan to go any further. It doesn't matter to Eva. Anyway, the destination has been found. This old man is of no use anymore. She flew into the air and entered the Black Land. Her consciousness searches the secrets of hunger and mystery unscrupulously. Something strange is swallowing my consciousness. There was a hint of strangeness in her eyes, but he didn't pay much attention to it. So what if I let him swallow it? Her consciousness is vast as the sea. Even 10 years of this weirdness can't be swallowed up. After flying some distance, she stopped at the top of a gravel mountain and I took out some big pills from the storage ring. She's a little hungry. After eating a few pills, she walked forward. There is heavy fog ahead. This fog can block the detection of spiritual consciousness. To be on the safe side, she chose to walk. The hungry cave is nothing more than that. He took out a few big pills again and threw them into his mouth. I always feel like the pill I took today is a bit expired. Not very useful. Not long after Eva entered the hungry cave, there is another person outside this forbidden area. He is fluttering in white clothes, like a dripping fairy. A 3-foot-long sword hangs diagonally from his waist. Quite a dusty temperament. The fortune teller is eating roast chicken. Squinting, Joshua sword fairy. Joshua turned his head and looked at the operator. Even if this person knew him, he wouldn't be interested in him at all. There are so many people in the world who know him. He stared intently inside the forbidden area, blistering in the mouth. Master, a breeze has dispersed. The apprentice's sword of breaking thoughts and blood-killing sword have been completed. It's just that the wind is blowing, but it's not yet warm enough. But my disciple is worried that you won't be able to hold on. Came early. As he spoke, he drew out the sword from his waist. A drop of blood was taken out from the storage ring. This drop of blood was stolen from Anthony by Michael. Michael has always believed that Anthony has a big secret and bloodline, because the other party's spiritual roots were also planted the day after tomorrow. What the other party is doing is something you can't do yourself. Since you can't do it, there must be a reason why you can't do it. So he wants to reshape his body with Anthony's bloodline. Joshua cultivates his whole body. He has reached the peak of stardom at this time. A flick of the finger. That drop of blood turned into a red sword energy and shut out. A cold light of the long sword passed by. The spirit of the sword and the rising wind always accompany each other. Cut off the mind and kill the soul. The evil spirit that can kill Kai's blood. The wind blows constantly and is impermanent. It can make this blood-killing sword energy fly farther. After firing 3 swords at the same time, he turned pale and sat cross-legged on the ground. His eyes stared straight at the 3 sword energies disappearing into the forbidden area. Joshua, why is your face so white? The fortune teller came up to him, looking curiously at this famous swordsman. What did you do in the forbidden area just now? See the other person ignore you. The operator rubbed his oily palms on Joshua's clothes. Presently there were several dark paw prints on the latter's white robe. Joshua was immediately angry. This old turtle is deliberately looking for trouble. Who doesn't know that Joshua has mysophobia? Seeing Joshua getting angry, the fortune teller quickly backed away. Old man, I have to go. Have a nice time. Joshua's sword flashes. The long sword sliced through the divine fortune teller's arm. His hands dissipate like smoke. The half of the roast chicken he was holding fell to the ground. Turned into a baby arm. Magic cultivator. Joshua was shocked and angry. He didn't expect that the demon cultivator would dare to cross the Shinyu Pass. When he raised his sword again, there was no trace of the divine fortune teller around him. The opponent is extremely fast. The erratic movements are very strange. Your Emperor of Kin. I was sent to the forbidden place of hunger. Surprise or not? Not surprised. This sound gradually fades away, and Joshua's face is extremely ugly. The Ayu demon cultivator uses people to make elixir, practice with blood, or anything to become an immortal. Treat ordinary people as food ants. The most terrifying thing about demon cultivators are not the cultivators themselves, but the spread of orthodoxy. Once there is a person in a certain village who cannot withstand the temptation of strength, then this village is basically hopeless. It's like a virus, constantly corrupting the human order. Damn, I have to go to Shinyu Pass to see. Joshua gets up. He bowed in the direction of the forbidden area and then turned and left. In forbidden areas, the evil spirit wandering blindly turned its head suddenly. He felt the familiar atmosphere. There seemed to be something extremely sharp pointed directly between his eyebrows. In the boundless darkness, Shenlong's consciousness suddenly opened his eyes. He saw the blood. Is Joshua here? Michael's return exercise. He must take the opportunity to strengthen his soul body. Otherwise, consciousness will eventually sink. Because the evil spirit is out there unscrupulously devouring other ghosts. The practice of the exercises is extremely smooth, as if it comes naturally. Cultivating ghosts is different from cultivating immortals. There are not so many realm divisions. Once the ghost energy reaches the realm, it will naturally rise. After absorbing all the ghost energy accumulated over the years, it finally relaxed. The dull, evil spirit's eyes became lively. The surrounding mist is taken back into the body. Boundless hunger strikes instantly. Oh shit, this damn place. He glanced around. This is a rundown, little village. There is a man sharpening a sickle at the entrance of the village. And the sound of children playing can be heard in the village. There are ghosts wandering in the village, but they turn a blind eye to this small village. Everything looks weird and absurd. Pig woke up. The man sharpening the knife raised his head and looked at Michael. There was a little mockery in his eyes. Say it again. Who is a pig? Michael's voice is cold. The other party can stay awake deep in this forbidden area. You can also sharpen your sickle easily. Obviously not an ordinary person. At least the heavenly master who has entered the Taoist realm cannot do it. As he has observations. Michael is not intimidated, although the sword energy is gone now. But it won't take him long to regroup. I've been here for many years. There are only a handful of wandering souls who can wake up. You are very qualified. Michael is very useful for men's exaggeration. After all, this is the first time since he was born that someone praised his qualifications. And the other person is still a stranger. Is there any reason to lie to myself? Her Excellency has good taste. After saying that, Michael turned and left. He doesn't dare to stay here for too long. I could feel his stomach twitching every second. Light fire. Little brother, it's better to stay here than stay. Can't get out of here. Michael glanced at the man. You still think he is an expert? Turns out to be a prisoner. If you can come in, you can naturally go out. Just because you can't get out doesn't mean I can't get out. Looking at the figure leaving resolutely, the man smiled bitterly. There was a time when he was so high-spirited. But when a person hits the wall too many times, he will eventually stop. Let's walk out a few dozen meters. Michael stopped again. The hunger in my belly can't be suppressed. It seems that being in the village can alleviate this hunger. He immediately retreated to the village without thinking. The man looked a little confused when he saw Michael leaving and coming back. Get up so quickly. To give up. I'm just hungry. The man smiled brightly. I immediately understood the reason. I am here to suppress the ancestral curse. Hunger can be much lower. After you leave the village, you really won't be able to resist for long with your cultivation level. Michael looked sullen. If that were the case, wouldn't we be trapped here? He found a bench and sat down, bowing on thinking about the solution. I thought about it for several days. The man finished sharpening his sickle and sharpened his wood knife. After sharpening the hatchet, sharpened the hoe. It seems like it will never stop. This village is not big. In addition to the knife-sharpening man, there are also a few little ghosts living inside. They all regained consciousness after being suppressed by the small village due to the ancestral curse. Bench ghost brother, for you to eat. Sweet potato. A frizzy little girl placed a sweet potato in front of Michael. And Michael picked up the sweet potato. The dark sweet potatoes are steaming with black smoke. Cool. The variety is very special. Oh yeah. Why did you call me bench ghost? My brother has been sitting on the bench in a daze. Of course it's called a bench ghost. It's like the wall licking grandpa. He keeps licking the wall. And Michael was happy to hear this. There is another strange thing in the village. Why is he licking the wall? Oh, he pouted her mouth. Looks very cute. Because the ghost grandpa often comes to disturb my uncle from sharpening his knife. And the uncle poured honey on the wall. And Michael was stunned when he heard this. Looking at the sweet potato, he frowned slightly. He suddenly thought of an extremely critical question. Hunger, is it really a curse? Mortals eat cranes. Wild animals feed on grass and meat. Monks feed on spiritual energy. Hunger is the body's desire to keep itself functioning. This desire may be to replenish current losses and maintain operation for one day. Or maybe it's because I'm longing for something for a longer-term operation. Hunger that cannot be relieved by food. There is only one possibility. The hunger here comes from the soul's desire for immortality. Michael's expression suddenly shook when he thought of this. He looked across the small mountain village into the darkness deep in the hungry forbidden land. Here, there is a treasure that can make people live forever. I see. Michael laughed out loud. Now he shrank back in fright. The man sharpening the knife glared at Michael dissatisfied lie. This guy has been sitting there in a daze since he came back last time, as if suffering from dementia. His crazy laughter now affects him sharpening his knife. Shut up. Otherwise, I'll let you lick the wall like that old man. Michael squints at the man. Lick the wall. What a joke. He has now solved the mystery of hungry and rich. It just distinguished the body's desire to eat from the soul's desire. And he is invincible here. Knife sharpener, I advise you to speak more quietly to me. Otherwise I would chop off your whetstone. Hooting all day long. Do you think I don't bother you? The man sharpening the knife stopped his movements, looking up at Michael in disbelief. Why did this guy suddenly drift away? Judging from his expression, He seems to have a vague feeling of being in control of the overall situation. He tentatively took a jar of bees from the storage ring. Snap! He dropped the honey on an old willow tree next to Michael. Broken clay pot. Golden honey flows down the ruffled bark. The sweet smell suddenly spreads out. I saw Michael, who was still sitting on the small bench, who suddenly had scarlet eyes, rushing towards the willow tree. After that, he stretched out his scarlet tongue and licked the willow tree. I also thought he had some way of fighting the curse. Her offering is a lie to me. The man looked away in disgust. Continue to sharpen the knife. Now he pinched her nose with lingering fear. Look sympathetic. Quote, Bench, ghost brother, you said you are so good. Why do you have to offend your uncle? A huge bell rang, even in this small mountain village. You can hear some. A man sharpening the knife stopped and looked into the distance. Heavenly Master's bronze bell. What a pity. If it rings once every hour, maybe I can find the direction to go out. This bell has rang before, but it rings once a day. He doesn't really care. Before he finished speaking, several more bells rang, and this time the sound is continuous. It seems like some wild beast is beating the giant bell, and the bronze bell on the hill. A talisman between the Heavenly Master's eyebrows was shaken to the point where his divine light dimmed. He covered his ears with his hands. Looks very desperate. What the hell? Who is ringing my bell again? Can't let others of their lives anymore. Outside the clock, Eva raised her scepter and struck the giant's bell time and time again. She finished eating her little jelly beans Bigudan. Now my hair is all messy. Like a madman. After tracking the gems here, there is no sense. So she seriously suspected that the bastard who stole her gem was hidden in the clock. Come out. Here to steal the Emperor's Starstone. I want you to die. Hello. Where did this crazy woman come from? But out of here. Otherwise, this Heavenly Master would do anything to kill you even if he died. The Taoist Celestial Master roared fiercely but lazily. Just curse in the clock. Hiding in there to death and unable to come out. He has already figured out that if he goes out with the lamp out, he will die. But our Taoist monks pay attention to his following the heart. Otherwise, it is easy to breed inner demons. Crazy woman, don't push yourself too far. After slapping for a while, Eva gasped heavily. This big clock is as hard as a turtle shell. No matter what she does, she can't break it. Feeling the loss of strength, she raised her head. I want to leave hungry. Fu, take a breath first. This place is too weird. I can't suppress that feeling of hunger at all. Fingers pinching the sword technique. The golden sword fell to the ground with a clang, splashing countless mud. How could it be? Unable to control weapons. Shaking his head, he forced himself to stay awake. I want to rely on my own cultivation to fly away. But as soon as she took half a step, she felt a cramp in her stomach. His whole body fell to the ground and rolled into a pit nearby. At the bottom of the pit is an old coffin. The walls of the coffin are covered with dense sword marks. It looks like it will fall apart at any moment. At this time, she only felt weak inside her body. It's quite difficult to get up. Oops, I underestimated this forbidden area. The taunting voice of the young Heavenly Master came from the giant bell. A smelly bitch. Bully Taoist me. A retribution. Of Af, who fell into the grave. Had no time for bickering. She gritted her teeth and held out the aqua-glued on a book. The book grew larger and covered the coffin like a small picnic tent. Finally, I could barely resist the terrifying rules. Feel the surroundings. This place is full of wandering ghost energy. No aura means no recovery. A little spiritual energy left in the body must be used to activate the magic weapon. There was a sound of gloating from the clock nearby. Right, that's how I was trapped back then. Ouch. Taoist laughed to death. Deed girl, Master Tao tells you that this is just the beginning. As the ancestral curse of the Forbidden Land invades, you will become more and more hungry. Monks don't need to eat, but here the body will be deceived by hunger. It will constantly consume fat to offset hunger. Eva shuddered while hiding in the pit. She seemed to have seen the scene where she was so thin that only human skin was left. The bell stopped. A man sharpening the knife sat back down at the whetstone without interest. Another unlucky guy has arrived. Michael spit out a piece of bark viciously, looking at the man sharpening the knife with a gloomy look. This time I'm so embarrassed. The other party's honey is extraordinary. At least it's 100-year elixir. It has a great nourishing effect on cultivation and soul. But